Welcome to Boys in the Hood TV. Today we're going to be discussing the life of Oow-Wee from the Inglewood family Gangster Bloods. Now Oow-Wee was born Tyree Rowe in 1973 in Inglewood, California. Tyree, along with his brother and sister, were raised in a two-household home. Tyree will be exposed to the dangerous life of LA gang culture early on, growing up on 78th Place. Now the family's home was directly in the section controlled by the Inglewood family Bloods. Now the Inglewood family Bloods are one of the deadliest gangs in all of LA, which has been in Inglewood since the 70s. Now the Inglewood families control a lot of turf, making them the largest gang in Inglewood. Now their hood stretches from Crenshaw to Van Ness, from 77th to 94th Street. This gang has multiple cliques, including 77th, 9 Deuce, and 9 Foes. Now the Rowe family home was only a block away from the 77th family clique. At a young age, as Tyree navigated his way through the rough streets of Inglewood, he would take a liking to music, making it his first love. He would even eventually teach himself how to play the guitar. But like most kids in LA, music wasn't enough to keep Tyree away from the reality of the street life. And eventually, he would get put on to the Inglewood families. Tyree would go by the street name Oow-Wee, and by 1996, he would find himself in trouble with the law. In mid-1996, he would be arrested for fighting and resisting arrest. Now heading into the 2000s, Tyree would stay in and out of jail for numerous different charges. Now at some point, Tyree would start selling weed to get by and also to fund his music career. One day while driving, Tyree would be pulled over by LAPD, who would discover bags of weed in his car. This would lead to his arrest and being charged with possession of marijuana to sell, driving with marijuana, and driving with a suspended license. Now this felony charge carried a long stint in prison, but Tyree would plead not guilty. But ultimately, he would be found guilty and sentenced to 3 years in prison. Now after serving the majority of his sentence, he would get probation, and once out, Tyree would focus back on his music career. But breaking into the industry wasn't as easy as it seemed. So Tyree would go out and audition for a VH1 show called Charm School. Now while on the show, Tyree would go by the nickname Seashells, and he would be known for having an argument with one of the contestants on the show.
You, because you going around here acting like an asshole.
Miss Weave, are you okay?
I'm very fine, Mr. Seashell.
Your breath is stinking. They need to put your face in some dough to make gorilla cookies. Cause that's what you look like. You booger eating snot drinker with your old ass.
Now after his stint on the show, Tyree would lock back into his music. He would create his own genre of music called ghetto metal. And this would lead to Tyree being featured on a compilation album called 10 Years with the Bloods. He would have multiple songs on his album, which had features, which included E40.
Ooh-Wee, what up, pimp?
What up, E-Feezy? We got a deal with the skillets and the sleazy.
Jim Jones.
We like Jedi Knights with the stars back and forth on the red-eye flights.
And Bishop Lamont. Now at this point in his life, the only thing that really mattered to Tyree was his music. But at the same time, Tyree still lived in Inglewood and nearby his old neighborhood. Over the years, Tyree would continue to create music and release music videos. Now in the summer of 2012, Tyree would start having issues with some of the homies from Inglewood. And this would lead to him getting into it with one of the younger Inglewood family members named Munchie B. Now it's unclear what the issue was between the two, but there was a lot of tension. Now rumors would start to spread that allegedly Tyree had put money on Munchie B's head. And in August of 2012, Munchie B would be shot in a drive-by, causing him to lose his vision.
2012, I ain't gonna never forget, I was on Imperial. I had to go handle some business at IPD station where they about to head back towards the east where Moms was standing at the time. Driving down Imperial, somebody pulled up on the side of my car and let off a gang of shots. I ended up taking a shot to the head. I ended up losing my sight though, but I bounced back. I was targeted, but took the right precautions, but evidently not enough. Somebody ID'd me.
Now with this shooting of Munchie B, the whole hood was hot and things would start to spiral out of control. On August 25th, 2012, Tyree would be out in Compton at a recording session. Now afterwards, Tyree was supposed to meet up with his sister Beverly in Wilshire to go out for tacos. Now at around 6 p.m. after leaving the studio, Tyree would meet up with 2 homies from the Inglewood families before going out and meeting his sister. He and the 2 men would drive around in Tyree's Mercedes before one of the men in the car told Tyree to pull over on a 1900 block of 77th Street. Now, as the men sat in the car talking, that's when one of the men put out a firearm and opened fire. Tyree was struck in the head, leaving him slumped over in the driver's seat. Immediately, the two men would exit the vehicle and run to a nearby tan-colored van, which was waiting for him. Neighbors who heard the shooting would call 911, who would arrive on scene to find Tyree. EMTs would transport him to a nearby hospital, but not long after arriving, Tyree Rowe, aka Ooh-Wee, will be pronounced dead at the age of 39. Now, eventually, Munchie B would release a rap song called Make a Way, where he would confirm that Ooh-Wee had put a bag on his head.
Ooh-Wee, I didn't drop a tear, nigga 6 feet deep, he belong there, he put a bag on me, ain't no.
Now, to this day, Tyree's murder still remains a cold case. I would like to thank everybody for tapping in, and I'll see y'all next time.